All right, Kyle Russ here. Today we're getting to the nitty gritty about breath training, exactly how to optimize every molecule of oxygen that you have. The reason for this, because you're gonna be forced to hold your breath all the time as a surfer. So the bigger the waves get, the more valuable oxygen becomes. So you wanna be able to use every single molecule to its fullest capacity. In order to do this, you gotta understand the oxygen pathway. Now you have to have an optimized oxygen pathway. And actually, I like to say, instead of a pathway, you want it to be a super highway so you can use every bit of oxygen. Now, number one starts with oxygen intake. Oxygen is all around us in the atmosphere. We need to get it into our lungs. We do that by taking fuller, deeper breaths. This has to do with your cardio system as much as anything. So your diaphragm is the beginning. You need to take big, deep belly inhales in order to completely fill your lungs. As well, having increased lung capacity is obviously going to allow you to take bigger breaths. The reason you want to take deep diaphragm breaths, because if you take a chest breath, if you have inverted breathing, you only fill your lung halfway, and your lungs are shaped like a pyramid. So the bottom has more surface area, so you want to fill them all the way down there so you can begin to absorb more. And then again, doing the proper training to increase your lung capacity, you're going to be able to have bigger lungs, take bigger breaths. So that's step one in the oxygen pathway. Get it out of the atmosphere into your lungs. The next is distribution. So this is your heart. So this is to pump it through your arteries into your body. Now, there's so much to do with the heart. The rate that it pumps, the amount of volume per pump that it does. And to optimize this, you gotta have a strong heart. Your heart is a muscle. So again, this is the cardiovascular system, your lungs, your diaphragm, your heart. So having that pumping through your body to get it there as fast as possible throughout your body is gonna be super, super critical. But another side to that is the heart pumping blood. If you do low oxygen training, your body starts to produce more red blood cells. So your oxygen carrying capacity becomes bigger. That means you can hold more oxygen in your body at one amount of time because you have more blood. People who climb Mount Everest, they know this because they climb Mount Everest in stages. They'll go to stage 1, which is at a certain elevation, and they'll stay there for a significant amount of time to let their body build more red blood cells. So when they get higher, they do it again, so they do it in stages. So when they go for that final ascent, that last day when they make it to the top, they have way more red blood cells because there's gonna be such little oxygen at those elevations. They need as much red blood cells as they can so they can carry as much oxygen as they can when they're breathing in canisters of oxygen, so they carry it better. Now for surfers, you're gonna be forced to hold your breath over and over and perform an endurance sport. So when you're paddling, when you're holding your breath, when you're caught inside, when you're duck diving all the time, you're spending so much oxygen while taking less in. So having more red blood cells, taking fuller, deeper inhales is gonna allow you to have more oxygen in your blood at one point in time. Now, if you have those two optimized, you are so far ahead of 99% of the population, and especially surfers too. But if you have those two and you don't have this last one, it doesn't even matter because it all works together. If there's any roadblocks here, it's gonna make the whole system not work. So absorption is all about tolerances. So number one, you need to have a tolerance to low oxygen. You need to be able to perform at low levels of oxygen. But the flip side of that is you need to have a tolerances to high levels of CO2. Here's the reason. So you burn oxygen, it converts into CO2, and your body wants to expel it. So it's telling you to exhale. So if you hold your breath for a long time underwater, first thing you do is expel the CO2 because your body doesn't want it. It has a natural reaction to tell you to get rid of it. However, you need CO2. So there's something called the Bohr effect. It's spelled B-O-H-R. It's named after a Danish physiologist who discovered this, and the Bohr effect works like this. You need CO2 to be, or oxygen needs to be in the presence of CO2 to get into your muscles because CO2 dilates the blood vessels in your muscles, so it opens them up to let the oxygen in. So without CO2, you can't absorb oxygen. So it will come into your lungs, it'll come into your blood, but it won't go into your muscles. So some of it will be wasted and expelled again. So that's something you don't want, right? So in order to increase your levels of CO2, you gotta train that. You gotta practice having high levels of CO2 in your blood and be disciplined about it. And so when you're training and if you're breathing through your mouth and you're flushing your lungs, that's called overbreathing. Overbreathing is getting all that CO2 out when you need some of it in. So the best way to do that is to do nasal breathing. So that increases your tolerances, and it's going to increase the amount of absorption you have. So you're taking a full breath, you're distributing it with a strong heart and lots of blood, and then you're getting into the muscles. And once you have that, and once you have this kind of training and you're used to this stuff and you have every single step, oxygen, you're going to be using oxygen better than anyone on earth. Almost nobody knows all these things. Now there's a fourth bonus part that kind of goes over all of this, and that's oxygen efficiency. And as your body gets used to having low levels of oxygen, it'll use it a lot smarter. But also, when you do this in your training, when you practice this stuff, when you practice low oxygen training, you will understand how to stay calm, how to be efficient with your movement, how to link your breath with your movement. And all this plays a huge role in using every single molecule efficiently. So getting as much of it in as you can, and then using it wisely so you're not wasting it. This is gonna go so far in allowing you to be the best surfer you can be and have tons of confidence. And oxygen really it's your fuel, but it's also your lifeline. So it's about performance, but it's also about safety. So if you really want to reach your potential as a surfer, if you want to go from where you are, and if you have a vision of who you want to be as a surfer, the ways you want to catch, the experiences you want to have, the confidence you want to have, the bridge to get there is breath training, because it's going to transform your body, it's going to transform your mind, it's going to transform your surfing. My name is Kyle Russ. This is the Oxygen Pathway. This is exactly what I teach in all of my systems, optimizing this stuff with the low oxygen training as the umbrella over all of it. It's going to make you more efficient. It's going to allow you to hold your breath longer and perform your best. If that's something you're interested in, click the link below to get started. Again, my name is Kyle Russ. This is the Oxygen Pathway.